What's going on, everybody? I'm the Todd Father 6, and welcome back to our next installment of Is It Worth It? Today we're going to be looking at a wonderful little game called SteamRush, developed and released in February of 2024. It was developed by Team Sleeping Giant, a student developmental group from, I'm gonna butcher this, AIV, the Accademia Italia Videogiochi. I'm assuming it's the Italian Academy of Video Games, the video game production school that's based primarily in Rome and Milan, Italy. And this is one of two games that I've been able to find online that have come from this school. A really interesting game, and I think you'll like what you see. Right from first blush, SteamRush is exactly what it says it is on the tin. Sleeping Giant pulled no punches, telling players right on the Steam page that it is a Souls-like BossRush game. It is 100% this. It is steampunk in orientation with a third-person perspective, much like many Souls-like games. If you're a fan of any of the Soulsborne series, is very much in the same vein. You start off playing as the main character, Laird. He's a great sword wielding protagonist who fights with a style that is very, very much like his weapon. Heavy and intentional. There's three main antagonists within the game. It is a boss rush game, so you're gonna fight bosses. First is a Scrap Knight, a humanoid fighter with a seal with a shield and sword. It has an AoE attack that it will build up to, that is an attack of fire and smoke that will one-hit you if you don't reach for cover. And there are 3 stages within the fight, all with an increased damage rating, faster move sets, and more combinations within the attacks, making each stage fresher and a little bit unpredictable until you play through it a few times. The second boss is the Atama. Very large mechanical opponent, much like the rest of the world, seems to be operated by Steam. It has stomp attacks that can stun the character and wound you. It has massive weak spots in its legs that will weaken the Atama and bring it down to a point where you can do larger scale damage when it's bent over. Like the Scrap Knight, there are 3 stages to the fight, and the opponent will continually rebuild its health after each stage. And then there's the final boss, the one that I've had the most trouble with, and I don't think I'll ever be able to beat, Lady Elizabeth. She's a human opponent. He carries a katana as a weapon. And oh my, is she fast. Oh, is she fast. Very, very fast. Very fast, very precise. And unrelenting in her attack. There's a lot of light combos that get strung together with heavy attacks, and she closes the distance very fast. Unlike the previous 2 opponents, which had more of a density to their attacks, it was very heavy, very predictable once you got used to their rhythm. There's a lot more randomization in the way she attacks you. There are 3 stages like the previous 2, but the speed and combinations of the attacks increase, as well as alterations of each attack, as well as an increased retinue of attacks that she can utilize. I have yet to beat her. I don't know if I'm going to. I'm hoping some of you who are much better at these types of games can. What is really interesting for this game, though, in my opinion, that within the world of SteamRush, there is, for a game that is only 3 bosses, takes about 90 minutes to play through once you know the mechanics, a already pre-built style of lore, stylization, and underwritten story that helps bring this game a little bit further along for me. Within the world, as far as aesthetic goes, there's lots of rust, old metal, rotting wood. It very much reminds me of the junkyard and the factory in Nier Replicant. Each stage that you face a boss in are very distinct from each other. They mechanically work different. They are different sizes. They are different shapes. Your restrictions to movement are excessively different, and they change with each stage of fight, which is really, really interesting. The game itself is very beautiful, using a palette that is very more leaning towards shadow and darkness of a world that has known past times of far much greater prosperity, hope. It's bleak, it's dark, and that lends itself to the density within the game. Overall, the look of the game is almost worth selling in itself, as well as the lore that's built in, finding out that Laird is part of an organization trying to collect information on the past, as well as rebuild the future for humanity within the world. I'm really hoping that this game is the beginning of something great coming from Team Sleeping Giant, because I really want to play a full game with this character and in this world. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest issues within student-driven or independent games, and that's your gameplay. Sometimes gameplay gets lost in the sauce when it comes to how a game is published. We've seen it before on this series that gameplay comes second to the overall aesthetic of a game. We've seen it in games coming even from AAA studios. First, is the game controller friendly? Absolutely. I've used an Xbox controller when playing. Obviously, mouse and keyboard are options as well. It's very... Once you get used to the mechanics of the game, it almost feels second nature to use what they have as the layout for the controller. This game is only available on Steam, as is everything we review here, so unfortunately console players, again, you're going to miss out on this for now. What I found very interesting is this game has a small training section at the very beginning to assist the player. It goes through the buttons the player will need to use for your attack, your sprint, and your parry. And that's before you even get into your first battle with a boss. It's a very simple walkthrough. It doesn't necessarily spoil how the gameplay is going to go, but it does give you the necessary abilities to be successful within your first attempt at the game. The character can feel slow. There's a lot of weight put behind Laird's use of the greatsword. This is not dissimilar to other games in the genre. Mortal Shell comes to mind as one of the more recent titles that is a very slow and trotting game, especially at the beginning, just based on your armor and weapon choices that you have at the time. It's very slow. Every attack is intentional, and you're selling all the way through with that attack, whether you are wanting to do something else or not. You are fully bought in with that intentional move. Like any other game in the BossRush or Souls-like genre, you are going to die a lot. I mean, a lot. The thing with this genre is every time you die, you're supposed to learn something from the death. You're supposed to be able to find a way to do it better. And then the next time you die, same thing. You're going to die facing every boss. You're going to die very quickly because the bosses hit hard or are fast, or you didn't know to hide behind a pillar during an attack, or you didn't time your parry quickly enough and you get run through with a katana, or you didn't sprint to the right location or in the right direction and you get stepped on by a giant robot. These are all things that are hard baked into the genre itself. I have friends who play Soulsborne games, Elden Ring, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and they say the same thing. Your high aptitude to fail, your high percentage of failure is there to teach you to do things better. There is no easy mode in games like this. There is no casual play mode. These are games that you get brutalized both within the game and mentally. Meant to overcome those situations by learning from your past mistakes. Eventually, you'll succeed. You'll learn enough information and glean enough information to beat that boss and move on to the next part of the world. And you will feel like you can take on the world. Until you die the first time you face the next boss, anyway. What's everybody else think about SteamRush? Well, outside of a few early games in this series, like almost everything else, there's no critical review for this game. It's pretty normal, I'm starting to find, which is a little depressing, however, not unexpected. On Steam, it's listed overall as mixed, which is a shame, but I can understand why. If you look at the issues noted in a lot of the reviews, and I'm going to link the Steam page for the game in the notes section below. You'll be able to check out these reviews as well as access the game. There are a lot of issues noted with a non-existent user interface, a lack of dodging and rolling in your moving mechanics, and the slow combat combined with the bosses coming across as severely overpowered. These are student projects, so you have to take quite a bit of this with a grain of salt. The lack of user interface, okay, like there's no items, there's no backpack, there's no weapons to exchange out or armor to upgrade. It's also fighting just 3 bosses and testing your ability to withstand what they can do to you. I do miss the ability to dodge and roll when under attack. You only have a parry and sprint. That is something that I would like to see from Sleeping Giant if they do move this project forward as something you can do. I do know that is a standard meta when it comes to playing the Soulsborne games and Elden Ring, is being able to roll and dodge out of the way of incoming attack. So it is something that, yes, I would like to see within the game. For me, it would feel more natural to have that as an option when being attacked by anyone within the game. In regards to the slow combat, it does what it needs to, and it does what it says on the tin. Yeah, the combat's slow. Part of that is because your character's carrying a great sword that looks like it belongs in Final Fantasy VII. And then you also have to, especially the first 2 bosses, they are larger characters. They move a little bit slower with bursts of speed as they build up steam. No pun intended. And then when you get to the final character, Lady Elizabeth, well, combat's not slow. It's intentional, it's precise, but not slow. He's definitely not slow. Are the bosses overpowered? Yeah, just like the bosses in every other game in a boss rush game. The difference is, one, you're not leveling up a character to reach their levels, because this is a student project. This is a very short game. It doesn't have that built in. Two, that's kind of the fun of it, in my opinion. These bosses are strong, and they get stronger with each stage. So if you can defeat them, look how much better you're getting. But yes, there are some issues with balancing when it comes to the bosses that can be addressed if there is a future for this project. There are also a lot of positive reviews for this game. Even within the negative reviews, quite a few of the reviewers recognize the potential for the project, applaud the creators for what they're able to create, both in depth within the world as well as overall viability of the project. The student creators that are a part of Team Sleeping Giant should be very proud of themselves. They've created a game that is absolutely fantastic, and they all have a bright future ahead of them, in my opinion. All right, so what I think of the game. This game is a definite must-try for any Soulsborne or Boss Rush fan. There's a density to combat that both makes sense but frustrating, which I know quite a few of you enjoy. Though it only has 3 combat encounters, each is very unique in how they're presented. Each requires completely different timing when it comes to defending and attacking, and each boss has their own set strengths, weaknesses, and attacks. The game itself can be completed very quickly and should take an hour, 60 minutes, maybe 90, if each boss is defeated on the first try. Underneath all of this great mechanics, there's an underlying story that gives it bones. There is a really cool storytelling structure that they're utilizing that gives this game such larger potential than just a great fighting game. Within the game's lore, Laird is a part of some organization trying to collect ancient technology. There are others doing the same for various reasons, some nefarious and some that we don't even know about. The game even ends on a potential cliffhanger after the Laird and Lady Elizabeth fight. I really think that this game, with the lore that it's setting up, could lead to a really cool, if not singular game, a franchise that people would enjoy based on the way the game plays, the story that it's telling, and the steampunk and dark aesthetic that's there. But ultimately, is it worth it? I think from the glowing review that I've given this so far, I'm sure you all see that it's coming, that this is an absolutely must-have title if you're a Souls Rush player. Even if not, give this game a try. This game is absolutely worth your time. It is obviously a labor of love and a test of skills for creating a game in the modern era, and Sleeping Giant did a fantastic job. It shows that a Souls-like game can be created by a group of students that have a strong foundation and background and education in how game design, storytelling, and development work. It's absolutely worth it if you are a fan of any of the Soulsborne games, if you like BossRush games in general, or if you like games that are heavy and combat intensive. It's at most, if you're a pro, 90 minutes out of your time. The replayability for this game, in my opinion, is pretty high. Just because you can get your time down on how long it took you to beat a boss. However, moving forward, there are some things I would like to see. I really do hope that the developers take what they've built here and push it further. I would love to see within this World of Steamrush a whole world filled with NPCs and interactions for the main character. Side quests, maybe some fetch quests, but just side quests in general. Data collection, items, things like that. Also, more altercations with smaller characters, or maybe not so much bosses, that your character can engage in. As well as, for me, I would like to see an improvement in the arms and armament that a player can customize to their preferences. If you want to play a faster based character, lighter armor, a lighter weapon. If you want to play a shield and sword style, if you wanted to play a very heavy style. There are a lot of good foundations here that Sleeping Giant can build on, and I'm really hoping that they take those foundations and build an even better game on it. That's it, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
Hey everybody, Toddfather6 here signing off. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to see more, click the videos that are listed or hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications in order to be notified when I've got more posted. Until then, as always, be good, be kind, be safe. See you next time.